What's up guys, how you doing? So I want to do a quick video which I realised that we haven't touched on, and this is one of the early things we kind of talk to our clients about and people that kind of want nutrition advice, and that's going to be about blood sugar and hormones. Alright, it sounds really boring, but this is probably one of the most important things in learning how to control your weight and kind of get your body to perform how you want it to, so it's super important, and once you get your head around it, it's pretty simple as well. Okay, so let's start this off super simple. Okay, so we've got carbohydrates. We have complex carbohydrates and we have simple carbohydrates. So basically, easy way to explain this is whenever you eat food, it gets broken down into its smallest molecule. Okay, so it gets down to one part and then it will pass through your lining of your gut into your bloodstream. Okay, so if you've got complex carbs, it's going to be more chains and it's going to take longer to break down. If you've got a simple carb, it might be 1 or 2 chains and it's going to be quite rapid at breaking down. This is why you hear things are high GI or low GI. If it's a lower GI, it's going to take longer to break down, and thus it's going to have less of an effect on your blood sugar, which I'm going to explain in a minute. And if it's high GI, it's going to have much more of a rapid effect. Okay, so let's take table sugar for example. You ingest table sugar, you eat it, it goes through your body, blah 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 blah, comes down to your gut, okay, and it gets absorbed through the lining of your gut into your bloodstream. Okay, so you've then now got blood sugar or glucose running around your bloodstream, because that's what sugar is going to be broken down into glucose for the most part. Okay, that's going to be running around your bloodstream. Your body is going to go, whoa, what's this? And it's going to recognize the fact that your blood sugar has been made higher. Okay, what it's going to do to combat that, it's going to release a hormone called insulin. Okay, it's going to release this from your pancreas, and what that's going to do is that's going to go around. Basically, in the simplest form, it's going to grab hold of the glucose, it's going to drag it into muscle cells, and it's going to try and store it in your muscles. Okay, the problems come if either your muscles are full and it's got nowhere to go, in which case it's going to turn to fat or be stored as fat, or you've got an impairment. Let's say your cells aren't working, or you've abused insulin in the past and it's not going to go into your muscles. So I'm going to come away from like impaired cells and stuff like that and not being able to absorb sugars, because that's going to be a little bit more complicated than we want to go at the moment. Okay, so let's talk about the body and how it's going to affect our weight loss or our body composition, for example. Okay, so what we want to do is we ideally want to keep our body at homeostasis. That means basically balanced, equilibrium. It's kind of happy. Okay, it will just function along as the day goes. So if we take this as your blood sugar levels, your insulin levels, okay, it's going to be a little wavy all through the day. You're going to have little ups and downs, but nothing that's going to spike it too much. When you have processed food or stuff that's high sugar, it's going to look a bit more like this. It's going to come up super fast. You're going to have a blood sugar spike. So what's the body going to do? It's going to release insulin. And what this does, it will release insulin and your blood sugar comes down and quite often crashes below. So what this kind of trait is you'll see people early in the morning, they'll have cereal. Cereal, I'm sorry guys, it's rubbish for you in the morning. It's really high sugar. So they have the sugar in the morning when their body is quite insulin sensitive because they've been asleep all night, okay? So they come up super high. It starts to have a bit of a drop. Come 10 o'clock, they're at work, oh, what can I have? What can I have? Sugar in my tea, need biscuits, need Lucozade, need anything to pick it back up again. And you're gonna do that all through the day, and the trait looks a little something like this, okay? Because people get a little bit addicted to the sugar, and that we do not want. That is something that's gonna really impair our body composition, so we're gonna retain a lot more fat. It's gonna basically take advantage of your insulin levels, and in the long run you're going to take advantage of insulin and you're going to lead yourself to things like diabetes and stuff like that. Type 2 diabetes is often caused by people's bad eating, and because of blood sugar spikes up and down, up and down, up and down. And then when you take advantage of it lots, this is when you'll get to those impairments where basically you've taken advantage of insulin so much, the receptors on your cells are like, I don't want nothing to do with it, I don't want nothing to do with it, or it's just not recognising it, or you've got beta cell dysfunction on your pancreas, whatever it may be, it's not going to take it into your cells. And then what you've got elevated glucose in your blood, and you've got elevated insulin. Insulin can be quite damaging to your body as well. It's not a good thing to have really, really high. So when may you want a blood sugar spike? Post-workout, intra-workout is a time that you might want to have a little bit of a sugar spike, mainly because post-workout, you have a thing called GLUT4 transport, and basically these are just little receptors in your cell which kind of come to the surface and help you draw in the glucose, and then it's going to get stored in your muscles as a glycogen. So that's a great time. Also, combined with protein, it also helps with recovery as well. So yeah, insulin sensitivity is not a bad thing. This can be quite handy. So when people go without eating for a period of time, or they go kind of low carb for a while, or things like that, they kind of upregulate their insulin sensitivity. All this basically means is their body's going to be more sensitive to it. So when you do take in carbs, you're more likely to store them in your muscles, especially for people that have abused it and they're quite overweight. Having a lot of carbs in your diet if you're already overweight is you're going to find it very hard to utilize them. Okay, you're probably going to store a good amount of them as fat. So it's really quite important to get control of your sugars. Everything that you eat is going to have a slight insulinogenic effect on your body, but obviously these are going to cause the biggest one. Another point to take. If you have something that's kind of sugary, so let's say for example rice pudding, and you stuck peanut butter with it, the fat is going to slow the insulin spike. If that's just a little bit of information in case you wanted to know that. But I don't really want to talk about any more than that. I hope that's helped you guys out, understand a little bit more what goes on inside your body. Often I find if you understand why you're craving something or why this is happening to yourself, you can kind of rationalize it in your head, and you can just cut the cravings off. Like Christmas Day, you've had a big Christmas dinner, loads of potatoes. Every hour you go back to the kitchen to have a potato, and then you feel sleepy again, you go for another potato. I did it this Christmas, and it wasn't until I had my third potato I was like, aha, that's what's going on here. So instead of eating the potatoes, I went back and I had a bit of chicken or whatever the meat was, and within an hour I was actually awake again. I wasn't so sleepy on the couch, and I was able to play a game of cards with the family. So on that note, I'm going to say goodbye. I hope this helped you guys out. I love you all. I'll speak to you soon, and happy 2014.